Everybody, let me show you what I got going on here tonight. This is an Dell, a 7415 2-in-1. Problem with it, this right side hinge is busted. Basically, the hinge came off of the back plate. So this happens way too often. The hinges, apparently over time, they start getting harder, and eventually sometimes they could just get stuck altogether, especially these 360 hinges, and it basically rips it off of the back of the LCD cover. This is the new one. So if you see, the design for this is not great. First of all, the screws go into these little nuts, which are just pressured in there or glued in there onto a plastic. So usually what happens is that those nuts just pop right out. In this case, I guess the nuts were pretty well glued, and then this whole plastic piece, which is also glued back there, came completely off. And it only happened on one side. Luckily, the screen is still working. So we're going to replace this, and we're going to check those hinges. Sometimes, if they are hard, usually there's an option to soften them up, loosen them up a little bit. So we'll loosen them up a little bit and hopefully prevent this from happening again. This unit, I have not done this unit before. Usually I'll go on YouTube and try to get a little heads up from somebody. I haven't done it. So first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take off this lid so I can work on it totally separate. Sometimes I will leave the lid on depending on the unit, but this one here, just too sensitive. I don't want to mess up the screen. I did give the customer a disclosure that if the screen does break, it's not on me, but the screen is working, and let's get to it. This hinge, I believe, is pretty. Yeah, that hinge does not move. That hinge does not move from its place. So let's see what we can do here. Those back screws have like those washers on the inside, so they're going to stay in place. Disconnect this battery. Now we're going to have the in this case we just got one flex to disconnect really. Sometimes you'll have the Wi-Fi flex, but the Wi-Fi flex is the antennas are down here. So yeah, just got one flex, so that's good. Sometimes you'll have a webcam flex as well. In this case, it's probably built. I don't know where it is. I was gonna say it's built into the LCD flex, but I don't know. Maybe not. Let's not get ahead. Let's just do one step at a time. Remember these LCD flex, they have like a little clip. Clip that up and then just bring it back, try to evenly as possible. You also want to take a look at how the cables are laid out. In this case it's pretty straight up, but sometimes you'll have some cables laid out and you want to try to remember which is the best way that they go. Take a picture is your best bet. How are you coming out of here? Okay. Yeah, so once you separate this, it's going to make life easier. And that's, I would do this if you don't have a lot of experience. Always separate it. There's some. I think I have another Dell. No, but that's going to be a Palmer's. Sometimes it's an easier scenario if you have a standard LCD that just kind of like pops right off. You can almost do it without removing this from the base, even though this was pretty simple. But this LCD is going to be, glued. So this hinge is, yeah, it's working, but it's hard as a rock. So we'll figure out how to loosen that baby up. So here, this little bottom is gonna pop off. I'm gonna separate it from the bottom side, just in case to not put pressure on the actual glass. See if it pops off at the bottom. So this should just be snap in, and if it's snap in, it's snap out. I always recommend using plastic spudgers. What I do is I kind of put my finger at the edge of, at the position where I don't want it to go any further. So let's say there I got maybe 1/4 of an inch. So I'll put my finger there, and that'll be kind of my stopper. You don't want to go too far in. You might have LCD connectors. Around here in the center, there's probably the touch connections, or a touch board. So and what I do is I kind of just find a weak spot, just keep going. That was weird. So YouTube started playing by itself. Okay. Might be a little glue on here. Might be a little bit of glue on the top edge of that. And I pried it off and I snapped it back on. Give it a little pressure from this side and see. So I'll try one side, I'll try the other, I'll try the other edge. Just baby it till eventually you'll find a weak spot, or it'll wiggle enough and you'll get the clip out. I wouldn't try to force it, you'll break some of the clips. And even being cautious, sometimes you break some. So this is pretty good. This side's a little bent up from the opening and closing. So here we got to get this screen off without breaking it. Usually if the screen's broken, it makes life easier. But in this case, you're going to see, you see these little pull tabs down here. And this is more common now than ever. They're just basically a pull tab for a pull tape. So you'll see that. I would get it with a tweezer like that. Just kind of wrap it, bring it out slow. You don't want this popping in there, so just kind of go slow and feel it. If you feel it get too tight, then you could, pry up here a little bit, wiggle it, do what you got to do. Try not to get this to break inside, especially on a screen that's not broken, because then you'll have to pry it, and that's not good. So most of these, that are glued like this, have a little tab, like you saw here, to grab it. But I will tell you that I've done a couple units that it has a tab, but the tab is not visible right there. You gotta kind of start prying up on the screen to get to the tab, which really sucks. I mean, if you're replacing the screen, it doesn't matter. But if you're taking it off for whatever reason, you don't want this to happen. You don't want it to bunch up on you. Alright, so much for talking, and yeah, that's not good. You want to try to keep this as flat as possible. Like that, and then put your finger on it again. Try to keep it flat. If it bunches up on you, it just makes it easier for it to break. Probably would have been a good idea to take these two screws off first, because it would have given a little wiggle room. So you got some screws, take those off first, again, to give yourself the wiggle room. Looks like we're going to have to take this hinge, holds down, little plastic bracket right there too. So there's a little bracket there, which obviously on this side is broken, but should be fine. This is ready to come up, but you got the flex still on there. Okay, so that just came right off. Okay, so we're good. Coast is clear. We're going to check the part. So the part is good. Part looks good. And this is interesting. I like it. Because in this case, we have the camera stuck right on the LCD, and all the flexes are stuck on the LCD, which is good, because usually that's here on this back panel. You have to peel them off and move them to the next one. So here there's nothing on this back panel, which is great. One hinge, two hinge. Now, one of the things you want to do is take a look at your both back panels. Make sure you're not missing anything. As an example, these magnets, the new one has the magnets, but you will find sometimes you'll get a back panel and it won't have either, usually the magnets are the most common thing, and then you'll have to transfer the magnets. The magnets are for when you close your lid so it goes to sleep. So take a look, 2 magnets there, right? We're looking at the old one. Over here, fine, nothing down here. So, perfect. Nothing to switch over. This is the little slider for the camera security. Don't forget to put that on. Actually, if you didn't put it on, you probably couldn't tell. But let's try not to forget that. Let's put it there. Because I believe it there black on black, I'm probably going to forget it. Now, what we're going to do is, let's take a look at these hinges. Yikes. The thing is, it's very difficult to evaluate how much tension they need, because when you try it here by hand, it feels, super hard. But if you loosen them enough that they feel smooth, when you put them on, the lid won't hold in place and the lid will fall back. So it is a little bit of trial and error. Loosen, tighten, loosen, tighten. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get a feel of this one versus that one, because that's the one that broke. So with 2 pliers, try to get a feel for. That just feels so hard. Yeah, I'm going to use 1 plier because I need the natural feel of it. And this is the little plastic piece on the right that's supposed to hold it down, but we're not going to have that anymore. Right, so this one feels way harder. So there's a screw in here. Which allows you to take this cover off, and then you could see there's 2 nuts, and we'll just give them, I'm going to put a mark so that way I can keep track of how much I've moved it. And the movement here is very slight. We're not talking about a full turn. We're talking about a 1/4 turn is a lot. That's like a 1/16 of a turn, but even right there you could already feel the difference. We are talking, this thing is hard as heck. So in this screen, at least, since it's small, not a lot of weight, you should be able to soften them up for it not to fall back over. And you have a 15-inch screen. If you have a 17, forget it. Very difficult to get it to the point where it still stays up and is soft enough to not create a problem. So again, we're talking not even a quarter turn, an eighth of a turn. And yeah, it makes it just that little bit. Now this feels like super soft. We'll see. Sometimes I've had to do this 2-3 times. Don't like that's fine. So it feels pretty soft. I'm going to give it a shot and see if I can hold it up. Might be too soft, but let's yeah, this is super soft. So I'm gonna try it like this, soft.
Sorry, it appears nothing is playing at the moment.
And if not, then we'll have to take it apart and do it again. I'm not gonna glue the screen or anything like that. Challenge is if you do gotta tighten it, again, you gotta take it off, put it on, but it's better to basically just gotta take your time. Is that that way? It is that way. We're at 30 minutes. So this job, I mean, I would separate like 2 hours for it. Of course, there's people out there in a hurry, but I would not be in a hurry. And again, we're not moving anything from here, so we're going to attach with the screen attached. I mean, with the hinges attached, you could get a better feel as well as to the pressure, because it's really difficult to get a feel for it just like that by your hands, and then there's no leverage there, whereas it feels firm, but the screen and the laptop has leverage, so while it feels hard, the leverage makes it easier. Ooh, this is super soft. Yeah, I think it's too soft. So the other thing we want to try to feel is, if they're fairly even. And in this case, I feel they kind of are. And just give it a little test run. I have a feeling they're too soft. Let's see. Get a feel for it, and we'll have to put the screen on, not completely attached, doesn't have to be connected, but the screen is what's going to give it the extra weight. And it's kind of weird because this screen, we may have to put the bottom cover on. The screen itself, I don't like computers like this. It is, yeah. The screen itself winds up being the base of the unit, which I think makes it a little firmer. I think it might be okay. Let's see. When we put this on here, kind of just for the weight of it. we're fine. You know, obviously if we go all the way here, maybe it's too loose, but I don't like these 360-degree screens. I actually tell customers to try to avoid that whole 360-degree thing. If you need a tablet, just buy a tablet. You know? I've seen these hinges totally lock up. And if it locks up, you're going to bust a hinge, or you're going to bust a screen. Something's got to give. So I'm going to go with it. I will have to take it off again because I got to put the screen in there. Yeah. Probably could still squeeze it in, but it's just going to be easier to get the screen flex in there. And just 4 screws. So maybe we got lucky here. I thought it was going to be too loose. You know, the looser the better, so long as it still holds up the screen. And over time, more than likely, it's gonna get harder. So here what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the double-sided tape in. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna remove the double-sided tape. Test it again, and then we'll remove the double-sided tape. If you feel confident, you know, you can just go for it. Just want to make sure these are nice and tight. But I believe this is gonna go. Does it go under the hinge? Yeah, I know. I gotta still put the little camera thing. Yeah. So no, it's gonna have to be glued down because of this little plastic piece right here. Goes underneath this screw. Or I mean, we could put that screw afterwards. Can we access it there? I'm not too sure. So we're gonna lay down the strip across here and leave it hanging some extra space on the bottom, so that way if it does have to be taken off, it'll be pulled from the bottom. This has clips up the top, so there's no adhesive up there. It clicks in. And we also have the 2 screws down here, so we should be fine. So this is a double-sided pull tape. It's kind of thin. It's not as thick as the ones that come with the device. I don't like the way that came out. Go this way. Gotta find one, a pull tab like that, maybe a little thicker. Again, you got clips at the top, 2 screws here. Should be fine. And I'm thinking just to go for it, since we got lucky, maybe we get lucky again and everything's fine. So I'm just gonna go for it. No big deal. I mean, if it's no good, we just pull the tabs off again. Now, how does this go up there? See if we can get this in there without that moving out of place. So here we got to get this top edge in first. Verify that this is working okay. Get that top edge in, because once you drop it, get that in there. Actually, probably shouldn't press it too much, just in case. So I'm feeling confident, then I'm not feeling confident, then I'm confident again. You're saying, make up your mind. So that looks good. Just want to feel how this. Fine. That little extra leg that sticks down on this side is not there. So that looks good. Keep your fingers crossed. So when I put these in, I'm not squeezing them in all the way because I want them to kind of get into place. There's some play. There's a lot of play actually on these screws. Actually, that one goes down here. That one's pretty steady, but yeah, there's play. So that's just a snug fit. Let's test her out now that it's totally in place. And that's perfectly fine. I think the pressure that this creates by sitting on the bench actually gives it a little more stability. Question is, am I gonna have to take you off again? No, I don't think so, because we still got the little cover to put in. All right, so it's tight. I don't know if this side's gonna stay down. So this kind of hooks in off the top. then snap on the bottom. Yeah, so this was a little bit, better than my expectation. Yeah, all these clips are not broken, so we should be able to get them all in. Sometimes this little bar has a little tape on it. This one did not. Got the side. This bottom one is the one that's pretty hard, unless, no, it should slide in the top side and then the bottom. Wow. That bottom side is pretty hard. At least here it is. So I could force it, or what I'm trying to do is give it a little push. Dang. I'm trying to go the other way now. Let's see. If we go in from the bottom, if we go in from the bottom, there's no leeway for this top one to go in. So no, I don't like that scenario. But the clip down here is very hard. Oh. Let's go the other route, in from the bottom. Problem is, in from the bottom, how do you get this guy to snap in? Let's see. Okay. Did work. There's less room. It's got a little more give on the top, so that did work. Let's see these others. If not, we may have to do the same thing. Well, these others, yeah, these were a little more giving. Here we're gonna go same route, in from the bottom. It has a hook on the bottom, hook on the top. And you just gotta be careful. You don't want to, any little wrong pressure, and you might have yourself a little headache in the form of a broken screen. So that's why I was trying to do the bottom clip instead. Alright, so let's try it the original way, even though the other side it worked out this way, but let's give it a try. You never know. These clips could be just Yeah, so this one is clipped in the way that I expected. Slide in from the top and then pop it to the bottom. This one didn't, maybe because of the, you know, bending or whatever had happened there. And look at it, it looks pretty good. Make sure your camera security is working. And the hinge feels nice. Alright, got your LCD cable connected, and connect your battery. Same thing with your battery plug. Gotta get that straight in. There's, depending on your battery, but let's say this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like 10 pins there. You want to try to get this in straight, otherwise you could have a problem. And you know, light nudges should go in smooth. If it gets stuck, pop it back out and make sure that you're, you know, don't force it, because if you get a crooked pin and you force it, then the pin is going to flatten completely, and you don't want that. You break one of those pins, you're going to have a headache. So not too bad. We're at 58 minutes now. So I had said 2 hours, but 1 hour. Let's put this base on so we can feel it. You know, with the base and everything on. Look at your bench. Anything that you left out. And we just got basically 4 screws, which are the 4 screws of this back cover. Don't tell me you're going to want them. Alright. We're going to pop in the backside first. The clips on the backside are deeper. than the front ones. So we're going to get them. Going to get them in first. And yeah, these screws with the with the clip on the other end, sometimes they're a little tricky like that. So that side is in. Let's try it again. This is not the best screwdriver for these screws. There, it's way too big. I mean, it works, but not. And that's a wrap. So it stays up fine. So one of the things that we will have to tell the customer is to be cautious closing it, because now what you feel here is if you let it go here, since it's soft, it will just drop. Right, so there's less pressure here. Of course, you know, you're not going to use the computer there, so it doesn't matter. So you have low pressure here, prevent this from happening again, but tell the customer to carry it all the way closed. Don't just kind of let it go at the end, because it will. From here, right here, there's no pressure. Right there, there's like nothing. It's just going to fall straight down. So that's the adjustment to prevent this from happening again. And that's what's going on tonight, right here, right now, at PC 911. Thanks for watching.